Yeah, hello everyone. You're welcome to today's webinar. Um, my name is Tulare Demisoye, and I welcome you to today's cybersecurity webinar at Reispar Technologies. And so with me here is
Mark Julie, we're your host for today. Wherever you're joining us from, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us.
yeah. So just a bit. So basically, for today is our cybersecurity webinars, and we'll begin to look at one of the core aspects of securing our data, and we have a speaker second towards this topic, and on this very interesting session. Next. Oh, okay. Now, one of the critical things that we've been happening of late is the fact that data has been growing at a very large scale across the entire world. Data has been growing at a very large scale, and there's a need for us to secure our data assets in terms of the data infrastructure, be it for a private agency or whatever it may be. If you look at our next slide, okay, yeah, for our next slide, so we have here with us our speaker, Mr. Adeoluwa. We have here with us Mr. Adeoluwa Akomolafe, and is going to be taking to us this particular session. He's a skilled professional, security professional, CISP, and
He's also a deputy IT security manager at the British Council for 10 years now.
Yeah. So that's why he was at the British Council for 10 years, and also the security and risk consultant at Barclays. So he has a very good wealth of experience in this particular topic. And he's also the current Chief Information and Security Officer at Wema Bank Plc. And so that's one very interesting thing. And one critical aspect of the particular session is the fact that data security is very, very critical in every organization in terms of looking at these analytics around and the likes in 2015, August 2015 to be precise. What we saw there was the likes of a big tech giant valley, that's Adobe, who had to spend around $1.1 million in terms of legal fees, due to the fact that there was a breach in their data. There's about 38 million active users breach, and this is very, very huge, in that. And if you look at that as well, so you look at the World Economic Forum, that's WEF. They made a very interesting story sometime in 19, about the CEO of a large energy firm, that sanctioned over $100,000, to a particular company due to the fact that they received a call which mimicked the CEO of the parent company. And so you can see how security and data security is going to play a very huge role in this particular 21st century. Next. So we have here a short video before after this speaker will be coming up. If this is one of a very graphical illustration. This is with some KPMG and Oracle. They did a cloud threat report in 2020, and it's a very insightful one. So we just get a Great. So right now, our speaker, Mr. Adeoluwa Akomolafe, will be taking it from here.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me clearly. It's nice having everyone here today. I'd like to thank Reispar Technologies for this opportunity and everyone that is on, but thanks for coming on this Saturday afternoon. So the topic we're looking at is cybersecurity and artificial intelligence. Just before I share my slide, I'd just like to give a bit of background as to why we look at these. So cybersecurity and data security, in a way, are interchangeable words. So data security start secure. Now, over the years, there's been loads of advancement in securing data, so attacking data. So the guys are getting more intelligent, and also the white hackers that are securing the network are trying to get more intelligent. And of course, data has become so important. And we're looking at millions and trillions of data that the human eye cannot really do much with. How do we now interpret this data in a way that it ensures that we're able to secure ourselves in a more proactive manner? And that's what gave birth to machine learning and artificial intelligence in cybersecurity. We need more intelligent data, faster processing to be able to secure ourselves. So that's why we're in this space now. What I intend to do today is just take us through some journey. It's a bit of an intro, not too in-depth into what AI really is, but basically telling us the benefits of AI in cybersecurity, also some drawbacks, some tools that are available out there, and how AI has helped in securing data a lot better. So I'll share my screen so you can see the slides we'll be walking through. So I believe everyone can see my screen. Okay, so the outline for today is we look at some definitions around what people mean when they say cybersecurity, what artificial intelligence is, how we look at security, a brief intro on how cybersecurity system works, the landscape over the last few years, some discussions around machine learning, the roles of artificial intelligence in cybersecurity. We look at some AI-powered data security solutions, how we're using AI to secure data. We look at some products that are used in the market, basically look at some 6 quotes, top products. And the organizers also told me some people have reached out to say they need some tips on how to get started in cybersecurity. So we basically look at some resources you can look at and take questions and get you back to your Saturday. So definitions, what do we call cybersecurity? Cybersecurity is basically the practice of defending technology device against malicious attacks, known or unknown. It could also be called information security, IT security, electronic security, whichever way you want to name it. But it's all about technology. And it's divided into some categories. Network security, your network, that underlying infrastructure that drives everything. You know, when you switch on your computer and you send a mail to a colleague at work, you connect to network resources, there's something behind all that. And that's the network. And securing that is part of cybersecurity. Information aspect of it looks at information, protection of data, which also ties into data security. So that's why I said the other time, data security is actually cybersecurity. So protecting the confidentiality, integrity, and privacy of data. Then disaster recovery, business continuity, bit of it looks at ensuring that that data is available anytime you need it. User does not want to know there's been a breach. The user just wants their data available to them. How do you recover from a cyber breach? How do you respond to a breach? You can have your customers or your users start calling job at the time available. So then words around there, around how long it takes for you to recover, what you recover at a particular point in time. All that is what cybersecurity is looking at. For data security, this purely looks at protection of data from accidental or intentional modification. So if someone could accidentally delete data, how do you ensure that does not happen? What sort of controls do you put in place? How do you also secure data from the bad guys? How do you secure data when it's being transmitted or when it's at rest, right? How do you secure data that you've backed up and you've just kept somewhere? That's how security is about, looking at data encryption. How do you ensure that the data is stored in a way that unauthorized users do not understand what that data is and do not have the keys to make it readable in a format that is readable to whoever needs it? How do you mask data? How do you hide certain areas of data? One thing that comes to mind there is when you see when banks send you emails with your account number, some part of the account number is masked with XXX. That's simple data masking. So you don't have the full picture, right? So if someone else intercepts that email, they don't have your full account number. That's data security. Also, data erasure. How do you delete data that you no longer use? How do you ensure that it's completely removed? Right, so unauthorized people do not have access to it. When you dispose of old hardware, how do you ensure that the data on that hardware is not accessible to anybody? That's all part of data security, which also sits within information security under cybersecurity. So in this presentation, when we say data security, we also mean cyber security. And now to artificial intelligence. What is artificial intelligence? It's basically trying to simulate, trying to get computers to simulate human intelligence. Computers, for a long time, are just a bunch of zeros and ones. It's what you input that comes out. It's still largely the same, but how do you get them to look at historical data, look at behavioral patterns? If someone normally does not withdraw up to 20,000 naira at once from his bank account, and all of a sudden you see the person withdrawing 50,000, is there some way that you can have a monitoring tool, for example, to flag that as something that is not normal pattern, that is not right behavior from this person? This is what artificial intelligence is looking at. And it's not all bundled into one. There are different aspects of it. It learns, plans, it solves problems. There are different tools and different scenarios within information security, cyber security, where AI has been implemented and used to make the job of the cybersecurity staff trying to secure data a lot easier, a lot more intelligent, a lot faster. That you're not just looking at things with the human eyes. You have some device that processes things a lot faster, that's learned how things operate, that can give you information that you can do a lot more with, okay? So how does cybersecurity systems work? This can basically be divided into two types: expert systems or automated. The automated bit of it is what we're talking about when we say artificial intelligence. It's machine driven, right? It's learning things all the time. It's identifying potential or dangerous actions based on what it knows, based on historical data that it can analyze. It's looked at how a certain process works. It's understood the pattern, and any deviation from that pattern is flagged as an abnormality. You know, so that's where AI and machine learning comes in. For expert systems, these are, if you look at your typical antivirus, for example, it comes with certain viral signatures already defined. And when it sees those patterns, those particular signatures, it prevents that attack, right? But if there's a new signature that is not aware of and does not look like a pattern that exists in its database, it just sees it as normal traffic and it goes through, right? So it's just looking at data at a point in time. At a point where I've got this number of signatures, that's how intelligent I am. I can't do anything outside of what I have in my database. So it only sticks with the threat signatures it has recognized and it knows. And that's why it's called expert systems. That's where it ends. That's where its expertise ends. Everything you put into it. It's not learning new things. It's not trying to revamp itself, right? And that's where AI is different from the expert system ones because it's automated. It's looking at historical data. When it sees something out of the norm, it flags an issue. If it sees something that is a pattern it doesn't understand, it flags an issue. You go look at it and you do something with it. So that's basically how we secure data. It's either manual or automated. We're working with what we know, or we're also looking at more intelligently at behavioral patterns, looking at how data has evolved, looking at historical issues we've seen, and we're learning from it and using it to build security going forward, okay? Let's look at the cybersecurity landscape over the last maybe 30 years. You know, at each point, we had some inflections that changed the way we do things. So in the mid-1990s, we had the TCP/IP that allowed people to connect to different networks, right? And it was even before people were talking about security. So you just have a LAN, then you could have that local area network connect to another network to expand it. But no one was looking at how do we stick up between these two different networks. The threats were not there. The bad guys had not even started looking at, okay, we're going to attack this system. Back then, when banks were being attacked, it's all about people coming into the banks with guns. Over the years, that has evolved. But that was what was happening back then in the mid-90s. Now, in the mid-2000s, hackers were getting more intelligent. You had professional hackers hopping their game. They want to get into your system without being there physically. They're looking at ways to know more about your users. How do we get password? Those were the initial things that you want to get a user's password and get into their mailbox and get some information, you know, but it was still not that intelligent. But then programming had also evolved. You know, people were programming a lot better. System processors were increasing. You could do a lot more, right? And it was then that the first machine learning framework was written entirely in C language and was released. You know, people were able to do things a lot faster. the bad guys were looking at it as ways they could use to exploit the system. And research kept going on and on till about 2016, right? When the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency did some challenge around the possibility of automating security, cybersecurity tasks that previously required human intelligence. This caused the shift in the system. And a lot of people entered into this challenge, and that gave birth to the more critical mass that has now become artificial intelligence in cybersecurity. How do we take what we've learned from machine learning to secure ourselves better? Because the bitter truth is the bad guys are always a step ahead. We are always responding to what they have done. We're responding to the way they've tried to attack us. But now AI makes it a lot better. We're able to also build controls based on what we're seeing, historical data. We can use that data to analyze, okay, what do you think would happen next? What can we do with this information? You know, so that's where AI now comes fully into cybersecurity and making security staff a lot more intelligent than they were when they were just using their human intelligence and the restrictions around the sort of tools available to secure data. So machine learning, what is machine learning? Like I've explained, it's just about using algorithms and models to identify and understand patterns of data, whatever that data is. You know, when you use tools to automate things done by humans, that's how you've evolved machine learning. You've taken a process, you've written a code to drive that process without human intervention. You've developed something to look at data and analyze it in a way where it gives you some meaningful information to take decisions on. All that is machine learning. So we're not going into the technicalities of it. It's simple automation, right? When you take a process that, for example, someone goes into a bank, talks to a teller, gets given some slip to write some stuff, and the guy deposits some money. Assuming you now decide, look, I'm going to automate all this process. I'm going to take this process of human intervention and I'm going to put a system in this bank branch where someone goes to input some character. It gives them some stuff. The guy can take cash and put into a deposit machine. The guy deposits his cash, gets a slip that tells him how much is deposited, what's left in his account without human intervention. That is just some basic machine learning, okay? It's automating processes, analyzing data, identifying and understanding patterns, you know, building algorithms to understand those patterns to make human intervention reduced, right? And applying some intelligence to what the human could have done. So today, artificial intelligence in cybersecurity, like I've said, is crucial. Everyone is getting smarter. The defenders are getting smarter. The attackers are getting smarter. Cyber attacks are becoming more tenacious. They're more intelligent. And also, the defenders have to get more intelligent with the solutions they use, with the knowledge that they have. So today, what are the threats actually? What are those things we're trying to protect against? What are those things that the people are trying to exploit to use to gain access to our data? Social engineering, which is basically some criminal trying to manipulate users I'm sure I've had some contacts on social media, someone trying to get some more information about us, you know, someone disguised as a friend sending us emails, or as a bank asking us to log on to sites that are not exactly sites from the bank. All these just to harvest data and use that data for some malicious intent. We have malware that people try to inject into your system, right? So when you log onto that system, it's getting data about you and sending to them, or basically just to damage your device. You know, viruses that makes your devices unusable for you. Advanced persistent threats. These are the more intelligent malware threats that infiltrate networks. You know, you put a malware on a network and it sits there for a period of time, just harvesting data, you know, trying to get how some processes work. All for you to just use that to build some intelligence or build some processes that looks like the real process, all in the aim of stealing data and use that data you've stolen for some financial gain, right? Phishing, just like social engineering, I'm sure we've all been a victim of phishing at some point or the other. This is via emails. People send emails that looks like legitimate emails to trick you into doing things you shouldn't do. You know, send us or log on to this portal that looks like your bank's portal. So they're able to harvest your bank details, harvest your card details. We've got ransomware, another form of malware, right? Where this can infect your system and block access to your system. And someone sent you an email to pay some ransom to give you the keys to have access back to your data. This was prevalent a year or two ago, and it's still happening today. You know, if you don't have a backup or you've not secured your system well enough, you have a ransomware attack, you're at the mercy of the bad guys. They tell you to make a payment before they can give you the keys for you to be able to access your own data. Zero-day exploits. These are exploits that they are new exploits. They are unknowns. You know, there is no pattern yet. It's not something you are aware of, right? It's something that is new. And there's no patch to mitigate against that risk. With the use of AI, you can restrict your system, only accept what it knows. So when a zero-day exploit comes in, that doesn't lead to serious damage to your data. You can pick it up and either isolate your data or raise it up with the owner of that particular product, and they come up with some patch or solution to fix that particular exploit. One other threat in this whole cybersecurity space is insider threats. Who you have in your organization that have access to your system. This could be malicious users or people doing things that just unintentional things that they do that exposes your data. And this is a big, big factor in the world of cybersecurity. Imagine a privileged user, an administrator that has privileged access to your system who is compromised. How do you guard against that? You can't do that using human technology. You need artificial intelligence products to be able to define parameters that would see what people are, and you're able to take action immediately. So these are just some threats. I feel there are others, but these are, in my opinion, the main threats we're trying to guard against. The things that gives us a headache, that gets us to look at our protection infrastructure. What do we have in place? These all things, they keep changing. You know, these threats keep getting more matured. How do I protect the infrastructure against the ever-changing threat landscape? And this leads us into why AI through all that data to look at thousands and millions of events and try to make some intelligent decision about these events. Without an AI-powered solution, most scenes are just a waste of investment, because there's no way to interpret all the data that the same is getting effectively. So with an AI-powered solution that your SIM also feeds into, you are able to interpret your data, the events you receive from your different devices, and you're able to correlate them better to able to make intelligent decisions on what's happening within your network. The user and entity behavior analytics is one that tracks and analyzes data from activities looking at behaviors. I talked about a fraud management tool the other time, for example, where you're able to look at patterns around how a user normally operates. This is what this person does on a normal day. If you see any pattern out of that defined set of pattern, it's a change in behavior, and you're able to flag that and look at that to stop any malicious intent. It could be someone that has maybe picked the person's or had some form of access to the person's internet banking, for example, or mobile banking or USSD, and doing a transaction that is outside of normal pattern. An Uber solution would look at that. The analytics, the AI would look at such and say this is from understood behavior and flag that for review, right? Security orchestration, automation, and response is also a way for organizations to collect data and alert. So this is a bundle of solutions or activities that looks at different parts of security response and puts that in a way that you're able to analyze threats against the whole security landscape, and you're able to take informed decision based on the analysis it's done, right? Those different stages, and you're able to give a response to that threat event. So what sort of AI functions do we have there? Cybersecurity. I've talked about the different threats. So malware, for example. So you have AI solutions that are automated malware defense, right? Outside of the traditional anti-malware or antivirus, like I said, these are more intelligent. They look at behavioral patterns of malware and ransomware. How does it, what exactly does it, it's not just looking at, it's looking at how the ransomware or the malware actually operates. What's it gonna do when it infects your system? What substance, how does it transverse security controls? What sort of points does it try to inject data into your system? It understands the behavior of where somewhere and is able to block the attack based on what it's analyzed, right? Based on an understanding of the way this particular ransomware operates. Because the ransom can operate in a particular way, but it comes in different names or with different codes or different signatures. But understanding the way it operates, the way it traverses your system, enables the automated defense to be able to block that particular attack. We have automated phishing detection. On the most popular platform that people use, Office 365, it's got some inbuilt phishing detection that you can turn on and configure and define settings for it to block certain types of email coming into your system, or take some action when those emails are seen coming in your system. Either block them or pass them to your security team to analyze, right? So this makes it a lot more intelligent. Those phishing emails are now getting delivered to users. It goes to some place, either it's blocked and someone goes to analyze, or it's diverted to a mailbox where it's reviewed and analyzed. Of course, you would have some positive. This is reviewed. Check if it's legit phishing emails. If they are, that's intelligence for your system. And you contact your users to say, well, a phishing mail went to you, it's been blocked and all that. This makes the job of security staff a lot easier. They're able to proactive support to users. Honeypot-based defense. What do we call honeypot? This is where you sort of set a trap for the malicious hacker. You set up something that looks interesting for them, and you make it attractive to attack. What this gives you is, it gives you intelligence on the sort of people that are trying to come into your system, what their identifiers are, and you can block those particular type of identifiers. It's all around entrapment. You're trying to get the bad guys in, you're drawing them in, right? And that's why it's called a honeypot, because you want them to come in, you've given them something interesting and easy in some way to attack. And they've looked at that, they've seen it because they keep scanning your network, or I can come in through this. That way you get information about those particular attackers or threats, and you're able to do something about them. Also, automated data theft detection. Of course, most attacks is about getting access to your data in whatever form. Copyright, customer data, account numbers, customer, whatever the data is, that's what the bad guy is trying to get at. To now use data to for some financial benefits, right? So what the data theft detection does is it's got the ability to detect different data elements, right? User-defined types, lineage of data transform, coded links. These are things that are identifiers that are available within your environment and also outside your environment. What do I know, right? What sort of information I'm going to get at? What sort of intelligence do I have from what I'm seeing externally compared to what sort of data you have internally, right? How am I able to classify this data into a way that can enable me defend them in a better way? You have loads of data. You need to classify them in a way that is specific to your organization. What is critical to your organization? What is sensitive? What is confidential? In that way, you are able to define particular algorithms or specific solutions for each data classification, right? How do you look at changes at the different stages of this data classification? Which is more critical for me? Is there data that over the years should not change? Should they be static? Can I put something that says, if there's any change to this data, right, flag something, let me know one has gone in there to change it. And this is what machine learning and AI does for you, because you are able to add intelligent checkpoints you are able to classify your data more effectively and enables you to secure them a lot better because you're able to see threats earlier than they happen. You're not reacting, you're being proactive. It's not after the fact, you're seeing it before it happens. Again, this is another one around behavioral analytics. This enables you to look at your data, like I've said earlier, and understand behavior is normal and what behavior is not, right? It also enables you to start to your data classification. It gives you a way to the different classes of data and put some criticality values to this data. So you're able to measure the risk, right, that data is exposed to. What's the likelihood that someone wants to have access or someone would gain access to this data? If someone gains access to this data, what is the impact of that to my business? Or if I lose this data, what is the impact of that to my business? For example, if the records of patients in some hospital is lost and it's out there on the internet, what is the impact of that to that organization? Would I want to visit some health service or provider that has exposed data to the world? I definitely would not, you know. So this is what the context that web behavioral analytics helps you with. It helps you to review your data, look at its criticality, and who is our Zoom session being attacked? So, effect of AI cybersecurity stuffing. Pardon my spelling there. This is some data by the Ponemon Institute. We can now see what it's just looking at the response times between a session facilitated by artificial intelligence and one that is not facilitated by artificial intelligence. I'm putting a cost to number of hours spent. You can see the amount of savings that is made between an AI environment and an environment not facilitated by artificial intelligence. This table, I put it there because it basically just brings it all home and the importance of artificial intelligence to us securing our, when we look at the man hours we put in to do manual stuff and the sort of change AI would bring to that. Looking at the savings there from these data analysis, looking at IT staff at a pay rate of $62.50, a savings of about $2.5 million. That's a lot. And with data like this would also help if we have security on the webinar, when you're looking for approval for budgets. You know, things like this would help you to come to management. When you invest in this, you're making the savings on the man hours we put in. You can either use those man hours to do other stuff, or in some cases, those man hours could be diverted to other parts of the business where those skills are needed. So AI is also a player for security. The same way you're using it to defend, the attackers are also using it to attack. So this illustration here just shows some flow of how over the years we've got to the point where the bad guy actually now weaponized artificial intelligence, right? they've used it to also build more intelligent attacks. So they're more intelligent PT attacks, for example. They're more intelligent malware attacks. Phishing has become more intense. They're also using bots and all that to attack. It's easier these days to crack passwords because the password cracking tools are more intelligent, right? So we also need to be ahead of the curve. We can't wait for the bad guys before we also react. So it's all moving. The threat surface is moving. Security also needs to move at the same pace. AI needs to be implemented at every, from your fraud management to your compliance tools, to security tools, your SIEM, your database activity monitoring tools, file integrity. Everything needs to be powered by machine learning because the bad guys are also not taking a break. So some products that are available in the market today, I just picked 6 products. There's Darktrace. This uses AI with its, it's got some enterprise immune system and an interesting antigenal product that is able to provide intelligence on a diverse range of threats before it's able to, the systems get exploited. So that's one that is quite useful that everyone should look at. SAP NS2, a product of SAP, is basically for protecting sensitive information in transit, right, using AI and ML technologies. CrowdStrike is another one for endpoints. That's quite good also. VetSecure, that's for email defense against phishing, ransomware, malware. Most malware sometimes are delivered via your mail. So that's a good tool to look at if you're looking at email defense. There's call sign. Today we're looking at biometrics for a lot of things. Also, the bad guys are also, they started attacking video authentication, fingerprints, and all that. Call sign is one that is good for identity protection. Webroot is also one that uses AI to stop zero-day threats, like I mentioned, threats that the OEMs have not developed patches for. Webroot is good for that, and also useful for endpoint protection and network protection. So for those looking to get started in cybersecurity, my advice, there's of research there to use. I've put some useful website links there. I'm sure the organizers can share these slides with the attendees. Survey the field, know exactly, because it's large. You need to know what part of cybersecurity you want to play at. Then start reading and practicing. You know, there are loads of tools on the internet. There are free tools, there are ones you pay for. Read and practice. Of course, you need to seek deep learning. Connect people on LinkedIn, Twitter. Don't use social media for fun. There are loads of learning tools out there, people you can connect to that would advise and guide on this journey. And the 4th one is quite interesting. You need to think like the hacker. You need to develop a malicious mindset, right? What's the bad guy thinking? If you want to protect something, you need to think about the different areas it could be attacked from. So you need to sometimes like the hacker, and that's why it's interesting, because the same tools to learn to secure the network is the same tools, the same learning the hackers are using to attack the network. So as security personnel, you also need to think like the hackers, have a malicious mindset. And of course, you have to be dauntless. You just need to keep going, you know. You need to keep going. You need to keep studying. You need to keep checking out resources on what's new, what's out there, what new skills to pick on, and just be ready to pick your foot in. Thank you. That's 1 hour of my time. Any questions, please? I believe we should have some questions.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for this very interesting, insightful session. So for the questions, you could drop your questions in the area so we can take from there. Okay, I think we have, let's see. Okay. So we have a question here. Okay, so this question is coming from Adeoluwa. So he says, thank you, sir, for the lecture. And he says that, sir, can you enlighten us on OWASP? That's OWASP. Hello?
So, can you take that again? I'm trying to get to your chat. Whatever. I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay. Okay. So the question here, it says, thank you for the lecture. Sir, can you enlighten us on OWASP? That's OWASP.
So OWASP is a community-led open source foundation of guidelines on how to secure. So it initially started as just securing web applications, and there are different guidelines on how you can secure web apps based on different threats. At the point was the top 10 OWASP security, right? And they tell you, okay, these are the threats, these are the sort of solutions you should, mitigation should put in place. Based on what people post on the open source platform. For example, there's some risk around web applications. What should you look out for when you're building a website? What different flaws that people try to use to attack your website? What should you guard against? How do you code securely? They've gone on to have